Hey guys, what's going on? Real short video concerning the Holy Spirit. Okay, now Christians love to say that they possess the Holy Spirit that the Bible speaks of. So there's only one way to know for sure if they possess this or not. And that is simply go to the story and read for ourselves. Now, the story begins concerning the Holy Spirit in Acts chapter 1. Okay, now Christ is fixing to ascend into heaven. Okay. He dies, he rises again, and he comes and he teaches his apostles for like 40 days. And then he's fixing to go into heaven. But he says, listen, I'm going to send you the helper. Okay. Now, why would he send his apostles the helper? Well, because he gives them a mission to accomplish before the end of the age. And this would supernaturally get that mission accomplished. Okay. So in Acts chapter 2, we see that the Spirit does come upon the apostles. What was the initial gift? Well, the initial gift was the ability to speak in another man's language, okay? They started speaking in the gift of tongues, okay? And then you had the crowd outside listening to them in the upper room, and they were astonished, and they said, how is it that these Galileans are speaking in our language, okay? Because God promised that in the last days he would give them signs and wonders. Well, this was a sign and a wonder, okay? The ability for these Galileans to speak in other man's languages, okay? So this was the initiation of the Holy Spirit. Now, another thing that accompanied the Holy Spirit was the ability to raise the dead, the ability to heal people by just simply walking by, okay? Now, according to the story, their shadows would ultimately heal people, okay? Instantaneous, okay? What else were they able to do? Well, they were able to also interpret other man's languages with no prior knowledge, okay? So, if this was the initiation of the Holy Spirit that God had, that the Bible prophesied, okay? Now, we can pick up the Old Testament. I believe it's in Malachi or Joel, where God was going to pour out his Spirit on all those living within the last days. Now, if this is the Holy Spirit that was promised to those living within the last days, and this is what the apostles were doing, raising dead people, speaking in another man's language with no prior knowledge, healing people with their shadows, if they were able to do that, and this was what was promised to those living within the last days, then essentially Christians would have to possess the same attributes of the Holy Spirit. They cannot say, well, no, that was just for the apostles and we're not supposed to be doing these great feats. Wrong. If you believe you're living in the last days and that God was going to pour out his Spirit on all man, then you too would possess this Holy Spirit. See, your Holy Spirit is not lining up with the Bible story. Your Holy Spirit is pretty soft. Oh, well, it just keeps me in line. It helps me tame my tongue. It helps me do a kind act for somebody. That's not what the Holy Spirit was as defined in the Bible story, okay? Now, if you re-examine the Bible story, regardless if it's true or not, that Spirit, the Holy Spirit, was to help the apostles accomplish a mission, okay? Because Christ tells his apostles to go into all the world and preach the good news as to bring about an end. Well, how were they able to do this? Well, according to the story, they were going to do it because they were going to have supernatural powers. Christians do not possess these today. There's no Christian today raising the dead. There's no Christian today going into foreign nations and having the ability to speak in another man's language with no prior study. Okay? They are not healing people with their shadows. So it's time for Christians to stop saying that they possess the Holy Spirit as spoke of in the Bible story. You do not. Okay? Peace. Y'all take care.